Julie Kelly says, this Judge Chutkan has a keen eye, seemingly, when it comes to keeping tabs on Jack Smith's fast-moving case against President Trump. Smith's signature had barely dried on the 45-page indictment before his lawyers started to pick a fight over a proposed protective order guiding how Trump could access and share evidence. Jack Smith wanted Trump to agree that he would, quote, not disclose materials provided by the United... This is the former president of the damn United States. He wanted him not to disclose materials provided by the United States other than to persons employed to assist in the defense, persons who are interviewed as potential witnesses, counsels for potential witnesses, and other persons to whom the court may authorize disclosure. Trump's counsel did not agree, but as both sides were haggling over the details, Assistant U.S. Attorney Molly Gaston filed a motion late Friday night asking the judge to immediately approve the government's protective order without awaiting a responsive brief from the Trump team. Gaston claimed her ambush motion was in good faith. Yeah, right. Smith did the same in the classified documents case and was scolded by Judge Eileen Cannon. See, you're going to see the difference in two judges here. It's going to be the two. It's going to be just a shocking difference in how the law is treated and how these motions, pretrial motions, are treated. Judge Eileen Cannon, for failing to properly confer with the defense before filing a proposed protective order, she denied the DOJ's motion as a result. That would be Eileen Cannon, of course. Issuing the protective order in quick fashion, Gaston argued, would expedite the flow of discovery in this case, give the defendant prompt access to a large portion of the discovery he will ultimately receive. But Gaston's filing was little more than a political stunt, as well as a low-key attempt at imposing a gag order on Trump and preventing the American people from seeing Smith's evidence against the former president. That's evidence, by the way, that we damn well deserve to see.
Oh, yeah. And what's interesting, too, so in this case, that basically has to do with President Trump's right to free speech, the First Amendment. They're trying to suppress his right to free speech there by the First Amendment. Okay, got it.
All the proposed order seeks to prevent is the improper dissemination or use of discovery materials, including to the public, the lawyer for Jack Smith wrote. Such a restriction is particularly important in this case because the defendant has previously issued public statements on social media. Yeah, it's like no, Judge, we'd like him to not be able to actually talk and maybe breathe if that's possible, but we'll just take talk as a secondary if we can just get to that. On social media regarding witnesses, judges, attorneys, and other associated with legal matters pending against him. So what? Gaston then referenced a brief message Trump posted on Truth Social last Friday afternoon. I mentioned this, by the way, on Friday, that I had noticed this truth that he put out. He said, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. It doesn't reference anybody. I mean, that could mean anybody. It could mean anything. Well, not to Jack Smith's attorney and to Jack Smith. They said that was directed right at them, which seems like quite a stretch on Gaston's part. And even if Trump was, in fact, referring to those prosecuting him, he later insisted he was not. So what? He is supposed to remain close-lipped as a presidential candidate facing unprecedented prosecution at the hands of his successor and his 2024 rival? Who made Jack Smith king, if we're talking about who's not a king, Judge? Neither the timing nor the political nature of the government's motion bothered Judge Chutkan. The very next morning, she ordered Team Trump to respond to the proposed protective order by 5 p.m. tonight, giving his overburdened lawyers one business day to prepare a response. Trump's counsel immediately asked for a 3-day extension, explaining to Chutkan that negotiations were underway when Gaston abruptly filed her proposed protective order and noting the court's rules allowing opposition counsel 14 days to file a response. So my understanding is Trump's team did file something tonight, basically calling out this ruling from the judge and asking for basically one day to prepare a response. Outrageous.
This coming at about 6:50 p.m., so about an hour before we came on to air. Donald Trump's lawyers asked the judge on Monday to narrow the protective order federal prosecutors have proposed last week to prohibit the former president from publicly disclosing certain evidence gathered in the 2020 election probe. In a 29-page filing, Trump's attorneys called for a less restrictive alternative to the government's order, framing their revisions as an effort aimed at preserving the First Amendment rights of President Trump and the public. Trump's lawyers argued that the government's proposal was overbroad and instead asked the U.S. District Judge Chutkan of D.C. to adopt the revised order to shield only genuinely sensitive materials from public view. It also states here that the government requests the court assume the role of censor and impose content-based regulations on President Trump's political speech that would forbid him from publicly disclosing all non-public documents produced by the government, including both purportedly sensitive material and non-sensitive, potentially exculpatory documents they wrote. The filing includes proposed changes that would narrow the scope of the limitations sought by the government. One of the revisions would allow Trump to publicly disclose recordings and transcripts of witness testimony that prosecutors obtained in their investigation and are expected to turn over to the defense. The government had proposed on Friday to bar Trump from disclosing sensitive materials defined as part recordings, transcripts, interviews, and anything basically related to witnesses and interviews and such that would be used in the court. Under the Trump's proposal, sensitive materials would be defined as information regarding the government's confidential sources or that which may jeopardize witness security. And that phrasing could require the judge to determine what would and would not pose a threat to witnesses. A special spokesperson for the special counsel's office did not immediately respond for requests for comment. So there you have it.
Let's call it like it is, folks. If this judge, Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, and Jack Smith could do a North Korea here or a President Xi on Trump, just go into a dark room and come out and go, he's guilty. Yep, that's it. That's all. Don't worry about what happened. It was all adjudicated on the up and up. He's guilty. He's going away for life. That's what they would do.
Yeah.
They don't want you to see anything. They don't want you to hear anything. They don't give a damn that it's in the middle of election season. They don't want you to know anything other than they're in charge. This is going to go down the way they want it to. And if they could all just go into a room, you all stay on the outside, and they come out and tell you how it is, that's what they would do. That's what they would do. They will look to their Maoist tactics, their President Xi, North Korean, Kim Jong-un tactics, and they could do that here. Don't think for 1 second that they wouldn't, and if they could get away with it, because they would.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they still might try. They still might try in D.C.